Welcome back to the channel, everyone, and today I'm going to be walking you through the Mythic Stonevault early into the expansion. As you know, the Blizzard has kind of rebalanced the dungeons right now, where heroics right now are as Mythic +0 used to be, and Mythic right now is what Mythic +10 used to be. And I can tell you, spoiler alert, that you certainly feel it, especially while you're not terribly overgearing the content. Early in the expansion, stuff hits hard. So mechanics are important. Boss mechanics are important. Today I'm going to talk you through how to tank this on a Protection Paladin. Protection Paladin is one of my, as you know, kind of semi-mains, so to speak, and generally I always play as a tank. We can have here a helpful insight from someone telling us what to watch out for, and I'm going to echo this message very shortly. Fast forwarding a little bit, telling you about the key moments of the trash in this dungeon, kind of making it hopefully less stressful for you. If this is your content still, if you're a casual player, please give me a quick like before you decide to drop out at any point in this video. Let's go! As we were helpfully told, this EDNA Boss, the first one, is going to target us with arrows and is going to also occasionally put the spikes. Kind of the spikes will come out of the ground and we are going to use those arrows. You can see those stone spikes popping up right now. The DPS primarily, but the tank also needs to pay attention to this. You will need to point the arrows at those spikes so that he shoots and destroys the spikes with the beam. You just saw it, how hard he actually hits. I mean, like I said, I'm not overgearing the content at this point in time, but I was like, surely I cannot be one-shot when I'm using basic defensive mechanics of the Paladin. So please be aware, please be ready that Mythics, especially some of them, I am hearing in the community right now, in the forums, in some comments to some other videos, I'm hearing that Mythics are also not evenly tuned. So the first boss, by all means, like, it's hard, it hits hard, but at the same time you're doing your usual Protection Paladin, seemingly brainless stuff, don't stand in crap, and you should survive, like, it's fine. We killed him, and I got a nice shield from it, which was a very, very nice kind of sense of welcome to the Mythics of the War Within Gyro. It was nice, it was a nice boost. Alright, so we turn, I usually go towards the Void boss, Skarmorak. I usually turn right, and in heroics I would have pulled like pretty much half of this corridor ahead of me, but here, please, the main thing I can tell you, once again, if it didn't come across loud and clear, don't pull much. Honestly, back to pulling smaller groups, mate. Back to pulling smaller groups. Don't forget that they have nerfed self-sustainability of the tanks to start with. They did it. And also they did this horrible rebalancing that is just simply still settling in. Probably if you watch this video 3-4 months into the expansion, they probably would have nerfed some, leveled out some damage, and it probably wouldn't be, hopefully, wouldn't be as horrible as it is now. But I can tell you, man, it is really, really, I'm even about to say to this group, we are not overgearing the content. So please don't pull for me. First of all, do not pull for your tank as DPS. Let the tank choose their pace. A good tank always chooses the pace based on how quickly. This is actually a big pull right now, so that would be a dangerous pull. Be prepared to use your defensives. This was a bit optimistic, I'll be honest with you. But I think I've done okay here. Once the trash groups are dead, we are pulling the boss Skarmorak. Again, I personally thought that other than some bosses in this dungeon, such as the one that's coming up, the boss number 3, the Forge Speakers, the bosses hit hard, but they are not tremendously hard by themselves. I know I'm saying kind of very trivial kind of thing here. I found trash a lot harder. More often than not, because trash comes in large volumes and trash is badly tuned. So I think that as long as you don't stand in obvious AoE that I just stood in and almost lost half of my health, don't do that. Obviously, I think the bosses are rather straightforward, other than some of them. So with Skarmorak, actually, he's probably an exception here. Well, EDNA at the first boss was also pretty easy. So as long as you can withstand the damage, as long as you can take a punch here, basically, and as long as your DPS is not just, you know, dilly-dallying there, but tries to kill the boss quickly enough, yeah, you should be okay. There is nothing really that I can call out of particular importance on Skarmorak, so let's save time on Skarmorak and move on to the corridor leading to the Forge Speakers. Alright, on the third boss we wiped a lot. Trash, once again, leading to it is horrible. You start by pulling Speaker Brock if you want to, but you're tanking them together anyway. If you have done this in Heroic, you would know, and if you haven't done, you have to do this in Heroic first before you go into Mythic. The big one, the robot one, is going to jump, no, sorry, not the big one. The Speaker Brock is going to jump in a second, and he's going to create just what he's doing right now. He's going to create that cube of scrap. You don't need to stand in the cube of scrap. Now pay attention. The sparks flew into the vents. Can you see? The sparks flew into the vents. In a second, it's critical for you as a tank to look which ones lit up. Fire starts coming through, yes? So you run onto the vent and you stand on the vent that the fire was not coming out of. Duh, obviously. Because the others are going to flood with this lava fire, whatever you want to call it. If you stand there, if you stand here in the middle as this scrap is about to explode, you are going to be dead. It hits very hard, as well as the mechanics are a relatively obvious telegraphed way it's flying. But trust me when I tell you, it took us 2-3 times to just even pay attention to every single hazard that is there telegraphed for you. So as a tank who is simply trying to survive every punch thrown at you, especially while you're tanking both of them at the same time, man, I can tell you, yeah, it's clear that he is now throwing these sparks into specific vents, but it's very, very cognitively hard to suddenly switch and pay attention and immediately move and do this kind of stuff. You will need to pay attention, otherwise you're going to be dead. So avoid the scrap cube, don't stand for the explosion there, and try killing them at the same time. So here the mistake that I've made, we already have group pretty much dead, and I'm editing it in on purpose to demonstrate it for you. The problem is that we killed one guy too far away from another. As soon as you kill the small guy, this one starts radiating the heat, and it's simply not sustainable. So here we go again. Another attempt. It's like attempt number 4 on this particular boss. People are still alive. We're doing alright. We're paying attention to the vents. Run out of the vents before the fire comes out, as I already said. Run into it. Defensives, everything. Others need to, DPS needs to watch themselves as well, obviously, right? The scrap is going to now roll past there. That's cool. We dodged it. That's very, very good. Pay attention to the sparks and to any of the flames coming up. And the health. Watch the health. That's why the add-on such as Plater is going to help you, because it makes the health bars a little bit more prominent for the bosses, and you're going to be able to see and monitor exactly how they're doing a bit better. So it's clear by now that we are doing much, much better than the other times. Here I almost died, because the explosion is about to happen in the middle, and also all the fires are coming out from the vents, but we're almost there. We're almost there. Let's hold our fingers crossed. Now he's dead. She starts radiating the heat, but she's almost dead. And done. And finally we got them. Thank God. So on to moving to the final boss now. As we move to the final boss, you have these seemingly small groups, such as these two Curseforge Honor Guards. I edited them in here on purpose. I already mentioned to you, pull sparingly. But here, it is an illusion of only 2 guys. You're like, oh, I'll just run past, throw my shield at them, and keep running. These guys charge, they are tough, they are basically paladins. You know what I mean, these guys? So these two, in my opinion, if you don't want extra stress, mate, and if you are not terribly overgearing content, pull these first 2 Curseforge guards separately. Do not pull them together with the next group down the corridor. Just before you enter the room of the final boss, there are 2 groups standing there on the inside. They have the stone golems, yeah? And yes, this trash sucks, in my opinion. So you pull this group, that's fine, deal with them. But then there are 2 groups on the inside, those golems standing there with some humanoid people there, stone shapers, right? I also recommend, my friend, pulling them out here, not tackling them together, certainly not pulling them together, simply because, first of all, they hit hard, I already said it a billion times. Second of all, they're tough, it will take a while to kill them. And third of all, they constantly knock you back, knock you up, interrupt you. It is really not pleasant. And here we go, final boss. You remember, he stands here in the middle of these 2 portals. If you come close to one of the void portals, magnetic pull starts pulling you in. That is not a problem. So you obviously don't stand in front of his cone of attack, which I right now have eaten in the face. I shouldn't have done this. Don't stand in front of it if you can't help it. And basically, you need to watch out for the debuff, for that debuff that I'm pointing out right now quickly with the mouse, the corruption, yeah? So don't overlap, if you can help it, don't overlap these purpley blue swirlies over each other. And if you get one of those debuffs, the corruption, you need to run into one of those portals that relocate themselves around this arena. And obviously the portals are not shared. If one of you consumed the portal disappears for a while. Naturally, don't stand in crap, don't stand in front of him, and balance this reduction, the removal of corruption debuff, by going into one of these portals. These are the main things about this boss. Beyond that, like, if I summarize it like this, it sounds simple, but in all honesty, it is a little more stressful, especially for casuals. Again, let's not forget who my audience is. I'm not talking to experts here who are like, yeah, whatever, picking your nose while doing +10. You know, it's a different kind of world here. I hope this was helpful. I hope this enables you, gives you some confidence and some basic pointers as to how to tackle the Stone Vault in Mythic on Mythic difficulty. Give me a like before you go, and stay tuned for similar casually friendly videos from me. Goodbye for now.
Well done, my friends.